The night was cold and silent, broken only by the sound of distant gunfire. Smoke drifted in the air and the ground was littered with broken metal and scorched earth. Among the ruins, a young man named Daniel moved carefully, his heart racing. He had never seen such destruction before. What had started as a strange light in the sky had ended with fire raining down, and now he was standing in the middle of something he did not understand. As Daniel stepped over a fallen piece of machinery, he noticed movement. His eyes caught the shape of a body lying near the wreckage of what looked like a strange ship. At first he thought it was human, but when he got closer, his breath caught in his throat. The figure was not human at all. Its skin shimmered faintly under the moonlight, pale silver with lines of blue light running through it like veins that glowed. Its face was sharp, almost noble, but unlike anything Daniel had ever seen. The alien coughed and Daniel froze. It was still alive. Slowly Daniel knelt beside it. He had no idea what to do, no training, no plan. He only knew one thing. The creature was dying. The alien's eyes opened, glowing faintly. They looked at him with strange intensity, as if they had been searching for him all along. Its lips moved, struggling to form words. Against all logic, Daniel could somehow understand the voice. It was faint, broken, but clear. "You are the chosen one," the alien whispered. Daniel's heart pounded. He leaned closer, unsure if he had heard correctly. "What? No, I think you're mistaken. I'm no one." The alien shook its head weakly. "It is you. It must be you." Its hand reached out, trembling, and grabbed Daniel's wrist with surprising strength. Daniel felt a surge of warmth travel up his arm, almost like an electric current, but softer, deeper, as if something invisible had passed into him. He gasped and tried to pull away, but the alien held him tight for a few more seconds. "You must lead," the alien breathed, and then its grip loosened. Daniel shook his head in disbelief. His voice trembled. Lead what? I don't even understand what's happening." But the alien did not answer. Its chest rose one last time, then fell still. The glowing veins dimmed, fading until they were almost invisible. The hand that had gripped him dropped lifelessly to the ground. Daniel sat frozen. The words echoed in his mind. "You are the chosen one." He felt cold all over. Chosen for what? Why him? He was just a mechanic, just a normal man. Nothing about him was special. He looked around the battlefield. The wrecked ship hummed faintly, lights flickering inside. Pieces of armor and strange weapons lay scattered nearby. Daniel swallowed hard, feeling like he had stumbled into a story that was not his to tell. But now somehow he was a part of it. His eyes drifted back to the alien's face. For a moment he thought he saw peace there, as if dying in Daniel's arms had not been the end but a passing of duty. That thought made his chest tighten. Daniel stood slowly, wiping his hands on his clothes as if he could erase what just happened. But he could still feel the warmth on his wrist where the alien had touched him. It was like a mark that would not go away. A strange sound broke the silence. Daniel turned quickly toward the shipwreck. The device in the alien's belt was glowing, pulsing like a heartbeat. He hesitated, then picked it up. The moment he touched it, the device projected faint light in the air, shapes and symbols he could not understand. A map of stars glimmered before his eyes, then vanished as suddenly as it appeared. Daniel's hands shook. He dropped the device, but it did not break. It lay on the ground, pulsing slowly as if waiting for him. The night felt heavier now. The alien's words, the strange energy, the glowing device, all of it pressed down on him. He wanted to run, to leave everything behind, but something inside told him it was already too late. He had been seen. He had been chosen. The air grew colder, and in the distance Daniel thought he heard something, an engine's low hum, like more ships cutting through the sky. He stared upward, fear rising in his chest. For the first time in his life, Daniel felt that his world had changed forever. The words would not leave him. The memory of the dying alien burned in his mind. "You are the chosen one." And Daniel knew, deep down, that whatever those words meant, they were only the beginning. The night after the alien's death, Daniel could not sleep. He lay awake, staring at the ceiling of his small room. The words haunted him. "You are the chosen one." No matter how hard he tried to push them away, they came back again and again, echoing like a ghost in his mind. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the alien's face, those glowing veins, that desperate stare, the final grip on his wrist. His skin still tingled where the alien had touched him, as if some part of that strange energy remained inside him. At dawn, Daniel finally rose. He could not stay in bed any longer. His hands shook as he washed his face. Something had changed, though he did not know what. The world outside looked the same. Empty streets, broken machines, smoke still drifting from the battlefield. Yet inside, Daniel felt as if a door had opened to something he could not see. He picked up the strange device he had taken from the alien's body. It still pulsed with light, slow and steady like the beat of a heart. Daniel had tried to throw it away last night, but each time he looked at it, something inside him whispered that he could not. It was meant for him. He pressed the side of the device carefully. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a sharp blue light burst from it, filling the room. Daniel gasped and stumbled back. Shapes appeared in the air above the device, symbols that looked like a language, glowing and shifting. They rearranged themselves until finally forming a map of stars. Daniel froze. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Hundreds of stars glittered in the air, connected by lines forming paths like veins across the sky. But at the very center, one star burned brighter than the rest, pulsing like the device itself. What is this?" Daniel whispered. As if answering, the map zoomed in, showing a planet he had never seen before. Its surface glowed with oceans of silver and forests of deep red. Strange towers stretched into the sky. Then just as suddenly the image vanished, leaving the room dark again. Daniel's chest heaved. He pressed the device again, but nothing happened. The light was gone. He stood in silence, shaken, the warning clear. This was no accident. The alien had given him something far greater than he could understand. Outside, the wind howled, carrying with it the faint sound of engines in the distance. Daniel's eyes narrowed. He stepped to the window. Far away against the pale morning sky, tiny shapes moved, shadows cutting through the clouds. He felt a chill crawl up his spine. "They're coming," he whispered. But who were they? Friends? Enemies? Or the same people who had killed the alien? The memory of the dying words struck him again. "You must lead." Daniel shook his head. He was no leader. He was just a man who fixed broken machines, someone who had never even left his own planet. Yet the universe was suddenly reaching for him, pulling him into something too big to escape. He stuffed the device into his bag and stepped outside. The streets were empty. Buildings stood broken and silent. Ash floated in the air, glowing faintly under the rising sun. Every step Daniel took echoed too loudly, making him feel exposed, as if someone or something was watching him. He turned a corner and froze. On the wall of a ruined house, glowing marks had appeared during the night. They were the same symbols he had seen in the air above the device. They pulsed with faint light, stretching across the wall in lines that made no sense to him. Daniel's heart raced. "This can't be real," he muttered, but when he placed his hand on the symbols, the glow brightened. For a second, a voice whispered in his mind, distant and broken, "They are coming. You are not ready. Prepare." Daniel stumbled back, gasping for air. The voice was gone, the symbols fading until the wall looked normal again. But the message was clear. This was a warning. He gripped his bag tighter. He wanted to run, to hide, to pretend this wasn't happening, but his instincts told him there was no hiding from this. The aliens' people, or their enemies, were already on their way. And he was caught in the middle. Daniel looked up at the sky again. The shadows in the clouds were larger now, moving closer. His chest tightened. The warning was not for some far future. It was for now. He whispered to himself, voice trembling but steady. "If I've been chosen, then I need to find out why, before it's too late." And with that, Daniel stepped into the empty streets, clutching the glowing device, unaware that every step he took was being watched by eyes not of this world. The warning had been given. The countdown had begun. The morning sky was not calm. Clouds rolled like heavy waves, their edges glowing with strange flashes of light. Daniel stood in the middle of the broken street, staring upward, his chest tight. He knew the warning was real now. The shadows in the sky were no longer small. They were growing larger, sharper, closer. At first, he thought it was an illusion, his tired eyes playing tricks after sleepless nights. But then he heard it, the low hum of engines, deep and powerful, vibrating through the ground beneath his feet. Dust shook from the ruins around him. Windows rattled. The sound was not of planes. It was heavier, older, stranger. Daniel's hands gripped the strap of his bag where the alien's device rested. He wanted to run, but his legs refused to move. His body froze as the first shape broke through the clouds. A ship. It was nothing like the wrecked one he had seen before. This one was massive, dark metal shining like liquid under the sun. Its surface was covered in glowing blue lines that shifted and flowed like rivers. Smaller ships circled it, darting through the air like birds protecting their nest. Daniel's mouth went dry. His heart pounded as the ship descended lower, making the ground tremble with its weight. A wave of wind rushed through the streets, scattering ash and debris. He whispered to himself, "Why here? Why me?" The ship hovered above the ground, its shadow swallowing the street where he stood. For a moment, everything was silent. Then, with a deep hiss, the belly of the ship opened. A ramp extended slowly, glowing faintly with light. Figures stepped out, tall, armored. Their bodies gleamed in silver and blue, their helmets shaped like sharp crowns. Each one carried weapons unlike anything Daniel had ever seen. They marched in perfect lines, their boots striking the ground in unison. Daniel's first thought was that they had come to destroy him, to finish what the battle had started. His hand twitched toward his bag, even though he knew the device inside would not save him. His body screamed for him to run, but then something unexpected happened. The first figure removed its helmet. The face beneath was not human, but not monstrous either. The skin shimmered faintly with the same silver tone as the dying alien he had held days before. The eyes glowed softly, filled with something Daniel did not expect: reverence. The figure walked toward him slowly. And then, to Daniel's shock, it bent down on one knee. The others followed, dropping to their knees in unison, their weapons lowered. The sound of metal striking the ground echoed through the ruins. Daniel's chest tightened. His breath caught in his throat. The alien leader spoke, its voice deep and steady. "Our king has fallen." But his final choice was clear. "The bond is past. You carry it now." Daniel shook his head, backing away. No, you're wrong. I'm not your king. I'm just a man. I don't even know what's happening." The leader looked at him with calm certainty. "You were chosen. His words bind us. His touch sealed it. The crown awaits you." Daniel's knees felt weak. He stumbled back, his mind spinning. He wanted to scream that they were insane, that they had the wrong person, but in his chest he felt that same warmth from before, the strange energy that the dying alien had left in him. It pulsed now, stronger, as if responding to their presence. The leader raised his hand and the soldiers rose to their feet, but none lifted their weapons. Instead, they bowed their heads as if in respect. Daniel whispered almost to himself, This isn't real," but it was. The ruined street, the massive ship, the kneeling warriors, it was all real. And every second that passed, the weight of their belief pressed heavier on him. The leader stepped closer, lowering his voice so only Daniel could hear. "We are hunted. We are broken. Without a king, we will fall. With you, we may survive. Do not refuse this." It was his dying will. Daniel's lips trembled. His mind screamed at him to run, but his heart whispered something different. For the first time, he realized there was no escape. The moment the alien had died in his arms, his life had changed forever. Above them, the great ship shifted, its engines roaring as if to remind him of its power. The air smelled of ozone and metal. The ground shook. Daniel closed his eyes for a moment, the memory of the dying alien flashing again in his mind. "You are the chosen one." When he opened them, the leader and the soldiers were still waiting, their glowing eyes fixed on him. He swallowed hard. "If I am chosen, then tell me what comes next." The leader bowed his head. "Then, my king, we begin the journey to the crown of stars." And with that, the soldiers rose, surrounding him not as enemies but as protectors. The ramp of the ship glowed brighter, inviting him into a destiny he never wanted but could no longer escape. The arrival had come, and nothing would ever be the same again. The ship's walls hummed softly, alive with streams of glowing light that pulsed like veins. Daniel sat rigid on a long bench, surrounded by the armored soldiers who had knelt to him. None spoke. Their faces, hidden behind helmets once more, revealed nothing. The silence pressed on him heavier than the metal walls themselves. He wanted to ask questions. He wanted to scream that they had made a mistake, but the words stuck in his throat. His eyes kept drifting to the leader, who stood near the front of the chamber. Even without speaking, the leader's presence was commanding, as if the air itself bent to him. At last, Daniel broke the silence. "Why me? Why are you doing this? I don't even know who you are." The leader turned slowly. His helmet folded back with a hiss, revealing the silver-blue skin and glowing eyes Daniel had seen before. "You know us more than you realize," he said. "Our blood runs through your veins now. You carry the bond." "That cannot be undone." Daniel's pulse quickened. "Bond? What bond? He just died in my arms, that's all." "No," the leader said firmly. "It was no accident. Our king fell, but before his last breath he passed the royal essence to you. His choice binds us. It is our law, older than stars themselves. Whoever carries the bond becomes the vessel of our people." Daniel shook his head. "I'm not your king. I'm not even one of you." The leader stepped closer, his glowing eyes steady. "Do you think he touched you by mistake? Do you think he gave his last strength to the wrong hands? No, he chose you. Whether you wish it or not, you are now bound to our fate." Daniel opened his mouth to protest again, but then he remembered the surge of warmth when the alien had gripped his wrist. The strange energy that still pulsed faintly in his arm. It had not been normal. It had been real. His voice dropped to a whisper. "Why would he choose me?" The leader's gaze softened. "Because you are unmarked by war. Because your heart is unbroken by blood. Our people, we have fought for so long we have forgotten how to hope. But you—"
He paused as if searching for the right word.
"You are untouched. That is why." Daniel looked down at his hands, trembling. He wanted to deny it, but the soldiers around him sat in silence, waiting, believing. Their trust was terrifying. The ship rumbled, shaking slightly as it broke through the atmosphere. Through a narrow window, Daniel saw the stars spread out before him, endless and cold. For the first time, he realized just how far this would go. The leader spoke again, quieter now. "Our people are scattered, hunted by an enemy older than your world. Without a king, we will not survive. The bond is more than a title, it is life itself. You may not want it, but it is already inside you. You carry the crown of stars in your blood." Daniel's chest tightened. "And if I refuse?" The leader's eyes glowed brighter. "Then we die, all of us, and perhaps you too, for the bond cannot be broken without ending the vessel that carries it." Daniel froze. Vessel. That was what he was to them now. Not a man, not a mechanic, not a lost soul caught in chaos. A vessel for something far greater than himself. His throat felt dry. "This is insane." The leader tilted his head. "It is destiny." Silence filled the chamber again, but this time it was heavier, almost suffocating. Daniel leaned back against the cold wall, closing his eyes. His life had been simple days ago. He fixed machines. He lived quietly. He never imagined the universe beyond his planet would even know his name. And now strangers with glowing eyes bowed to him, calling him king, binding their lives to his. He whispered to himself, "This can't be happening." Yet deep inside, he felt it, the truth of the bond. It throbbed faintly like a second heartbeat. The dying alien's words were no longer just memory. They were alive inside him. The leader turned away, his voice echoing softly through the chamber. "You will see the truth soon. When you wear the crown, you will know." Daniel's eyes snapped open. "Crown?" But no one answered. The ship's engines roared louder, and ahead a distant planet came into view. Its surface glowed with silver seas and crimson forests, the same place Daniel had seen in the device's vision. His stomach dropped. He realized this was where the truth awaited him. The soldiers sat straighter, their glowing lines pulsing faster as if they felt the nearness of home. Daniel clutched his bag, feeling the weight of the device inside. For the first time, he understood that the alien's death had not only changed him, it had sealed his place in something vast, something that would not let him go. The secret of their people had been revealed. He was their vessel, their king, their last hope, and deep down Daniel feared the most terrifying part. Somewhere in the darkest corner of his soul, he felt a whisper telling him that maybe it was true. The ship descended through clouds of silver mist, cutting across skies that shimmered like liquid metal. Daniel pressed his hand against the window, his eyes wide. The world below was unlike anything he had ever seen. Vast oceans glowed faintly, reflecting the crimson light of forests that stretched to the horizon. Towering structures rose like spears of crystal, their tips sparkling against the atmosphere. This was not Earth. This was a kingdom born among the stars. The soldiers around him sat straighter as the ship descended. Their glowing armor pulsed brighter, almost alive, as if the planet itself welcomed them home. The leader stood tall at the front, his voice calm but heavy. "This is Ithra, our home, and now it is yours." Daniel's chest tightened. His lips parted, but no words came. He shook his head. "No, this isn't mine. I don't belong here." The leader turned, his glowing eyes steady. "The bond does not lie. You belong more than you know." The ship landed on a vast platform of dark stone, etched with glowing lines that matched the patterns on the soldiers' armor. When the ramp opened, Daniel felt a wave of warmth wash over him. The very air hummed, charged with unseen energy. It prickled against his skin, seeping into his bones. As he stepped out, he saw thousands waiting. Rows upon rows of aliens stood in silence, their silver-blue faces lifted toward him. Their glowing eyes burned with hope, fear, and something Daniel could not understand. When he appeared, they lowered their heads in one motion. The sound of armor striking stone echoed like thunder. Daniel froze. His throat closed. They weren't just a group of soldiers. They were a people, an entire civilization, and they were bowing to him. The leader raised his voice, clear and commanding. "Behold the vessel of the crown, the chosen bearer of our king's last breath." A roar erupted from the crowd, not of anger, but of reverence. Daniel stumbled back, his heart racing. He wanted to run, to vanish into the shadows, but the soldiers behind him blocked the way. He whispered to himself, "This can't be real. This isn't me." But the crowd did not care about his fear. To them, he was already king. The leader gestured, and Daniel was guided into a great hall. The walls glowed with carvings of battles long past, armies clashing, ships burning, crowns of light hovering above rulers' heads. At the far end of the chamber stood a massive pedestal, and upon it a crown unlike any Daniel had imagined. It was not made of gold or jewels. It was alive. The crown shimmered with shifting starlight, its surface rippling like water, filled with the glow of entire galaxies. Tiny sparks drifted from it, floating into the air like fireflies. It pulsed with the same rhythm Daniel had felt in his wrist, the same heartbeat the dying alien had left behind. His knees weakened. He whispered, What is that?" The leader stepped beside him, voice low but firm. "The crown of stars. It is the essence of every king before you. Their memories, their strength, their will. When you wear it, you will not be alone. Their voices will guide you. Their power will become yours." Daniel's chest tightened. "And if I refuse?" The leader's eyes narrowed. "Then the crown will die. And with it, so will we." Daniel's hands trembled. He wanted to shout that this wasn't fair, that he never asked for this. But the weight of thousands of lives pressed on him. He thought of the dying alien, the desperate whisper, the final grip on his wrist. Maybe this had never been about choice. Slowly, he stepped toward the pedestal. The crown pulsed brighter as he drew near, as if sensing him, calling to him. His heart raced, every instinct telling him to stop, but his legs carried him forward. When he reached out, his fingers brushed the crown. A surge of energy shot through him, knocking the air from his lungs. His vision exploded into light. Suddenly, he was no longer in the hall. He stood in endless space, surrounded by stars. Figures appeared before him, kings of ages past, their glowing eyes watching him. Their voices spoke as one, echoing across the void. "You are the vessel. You are the bond. You are the crown." Daniel gasped, clutching his chest. Images flashed before him. Wars fought across galaxies, fleets burning, enemies with eyes of fire. He saw victories, defeats, betrayals, and sacrifices. He felt the weight of generations pressing into him, filling his mind with knowledge too vast to contain. And then, he saw the truth. A shadow vast and endless, moving through the stars like a predator. The enemy, the one that hunted the alien people, the one that would come for him too. Daniel's knees buckled. His body trembled under the force of the visions. The crown's light wrapped around him, binding itself to him, sinking into his skin. When the vision ended, he was back in the hall. The crown rested on his head, glowing faintly, its light flowing into his veins. The crowd knelt again, whispering words he did not understand. Daniel gasped for air, his body shaking. His voice was barely a whisper. "What have you done to me?" The leader bowed deeply. "We have not done this. You have accepted what was already yours. You are now the bearer of the crown of stars." The weight of it pressed on Daniel's skull, heavier than iron, heavier than any burden he had ever known. He had wanted a quiet life. Instead, he had inherited the will of kings and the fate of a dying people. And deep inside, In the silence of his own heart, Daniel knew his life was no longer his own. The crown of stars rested heavy on Daniel's head. Its glow pulsed faintly, sinking into his skin, filling his mind with whispers of voices from rulers long gone. He stood at the center of the great hall, surrounded by kneeling soldiers and chanting crowds. But inside he felt more alone than ever. The visions from the crown haunted him. Images of wars across galaxies, enemies made of shadow and fire, rulers falling one by one. The power terrified him. He had not asked for this. Yet now, every step he took carried the weight of an entire people. For days, the soldiers guided him through Ithra. He was shown cities glowing with crystal towers, oceans that shimmered like silver glass, and temples filled with endless carvings of their history. Everywhere he went, people bowed. Everywhere, whispers followed. The new king. The vessel. The chosen. Daniel tried to hide his fear, but deep inside, doubt grew. He was no king. He was just a man trapped in a story that wasn't his, and not everyone believed in him. It began with stares, eyes that did not bow, but burned with suspicion. In the crowded halls, he felt them linger on him. Soldiers whispered when they thought he wasn't listening. He caught fragments of words: outsider, imposter, human. One night, as Daniel walked alone through a dim corridor of the palace, the crown humming faintly on his head, he heard the voices clearly. "He is not one of us," a soldier hissed. "He wears the crown, but it is a trick. A test we will fail if we follow him. The bond lies. He must be cast out before it destroys us." Daniel froze in the shadows, his heart pounding. He wanted to step forward to confront them, but fear rooted him to the ground. He slipped away quietly, his chest tight. The next day, the leader who had guided him from the start noticed his silence. "You are troubled," he said. Daniel hesitated, then spoke. "Not all of them believe. Some think I'm a fraud." The leader's glowing eyes narrowed. "There will always be those who resist change. Do not fear them. The crown has chosen you. That is all that matters." But Daniel wasn't convinced. The words he had overheard were not simple doubts. They were anger. They were hate. And he was right. That night, the betrayal came. Daniel was resting in his chamber, staring at the strange stars outside the window, when the lights flickered. A cold silence fell across the palace. Then, without warning, the door burst open. Armed soldiers stormed inside. Their armor glowed darker than the others, etched with red lines instead of blue. Their weapons hummed with deadly energy. Daniel stumbled to his feet. "What's happening?" The soldiers raised their weapons. "Imposter," one growled. "You do not belong. Tonight the crown is reclaimed." Daniel's heart raced. He reached for the bag where the alien device still lay, but one of the soldiers kicked it away. They closed in, blades glowing with heat. Before they could strike, the crown on Daniel's head flared with light. A wave of energy burst outward, knocking the soldiers back. Daniel gasped, clutching his skull. He had not called for it, but the crown had acted on its own, protecting him. The soldiers hissed in rage and lunged again. But before they reached him, the door behind them exploded open. The leader and his loyal guards stormed in, weapons blazing. "Traitors!" The leader roared, his voice echoing like thunder. The chamber erupted into chaos. Blades clashed, energy bolts cracked the walls, sparks rained like fire. Daniel ducked as one of the traitors lunged for him, only to be cut down by a loyal guard. When the battle ended, the floor was littered with broken armor and smoldering weapons. The surviving traitors were dragged away, their eyes still burning with hate. Daniel stood trembling, his chest heaving, the crown glowing faintly in the dark. The leader placed a hand on his shoulder. "Do you see now? Not all of us will accept you. Some believe the bond has failed. But this is not the end, it is only the beginning. Those who resist you will seek help from our enemy. You must be ready." Daniel swallowed hard. The betrayal was real. It was no longer whispers and shadows. It was blood on the floor, he whispered. "If they think I'm not their king, maybe they're right." The leader's grip tightened. His glowing eyes burned with conviction. "No, the bond does not lie. You were chosen. But understand this, Daniel. Your crown will not only bring loyalty, it will bring war." His voice trembled, but it carried through the plaza. "They are coming. The enemy who killed your last king. They will come for me, for all of us. And if I must fight, then I will not fight for a crown. I will fight for survival." The soldiers roared, their voices shaking the air. The city thundered with their cry. Daniel stood taller, the crown glowing brighter on his head. Fear still gripped his heart, but now it burned alongside something stronger. Resolve. His destiny was no longer a question. It was a path written in fire and blood. And though the shadow of war loomed above the stars, Daniel knew one thing. He would not run. The chosen one had become the king. And soon, the galaxy would test him.